On March 16th, 2026, in the early evening hours, the Shady Springs Police Department in Georgia receives a call. The person on the line claims to be a victim of some kind of hostage situation. After a loud bang is heard, the line gets disconnected, but when police get to the house...
Sandy Springs Police! Open the door!
It turns out that this is not a hostage situation at all. As people pour out of the house like a clown car, police realize that this was a swatting attempt, and it wasn't the first one being made against this group of people. As police enter, they see cameras all over the place, bizarre artwork on the walls, a basement that looks like a surveillance hub, and multiple unsecured firearms. But no one is under distress. No one is physically harmed at this time. This isn't some kind of weird cult or non-consensual imprisonment. This is an internet reality show called Fishtank, and it was being live streamed to thousands of viewers all around the world. And it's so chaotic that Wired magazine just called it the future of reality TV. And if this is what we have to look forward to, I'm very, very concerned, because Fishtank appears to me as straight up psychological warfare. Join me as we dive into the troubling world of Fishtank, but first, a word from our sponsor, Hungry Root. Hi, I'm a stay-at-home mom to 2 children who are currently on summer break, and once a week I watch my 2 school-aged nephews who are also out of school for the summer. I know. Please save your condolences until the end of this segment, thank you. This time of year is chaotic for me. It would be easy for me to fall into the habit of just ordering a pizza every day, or making a box of mac and cheese every day, or going to get fast food every day to feed these chaotic monsters that are constantly roaming the halls of my home. But I have Hungry Root in my life, and thanks to them, taking care of myself and making healthier choices in my diet is really, really easy. And if you've been here a while, you've heard me talk about Hungry Root a lot, and by now you should know that I myself am actually a paying customer of Hungry Root. I love them so much, and I'm always happy to share my positive experiences here on my YouTube channel. Hungry Root is more than a meal delivery service. It actually plans all your meals, groceries, and snacks for the week, and then delivers everything directly to your door. And these foods are held to the highest standards, screening out over 200 additives like high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives. This time, I even tried freaking candy. These sour gummy crunchy rings have 7 grams of prebiotic fiber, are 60% less in sugar compared to other gummy candies, and they use real fruit and veggies to color them. And I didn't taste a difference in them at all from the sour gummy rings I've had before. Let me show you one of the breakfast recipes I tried this week. It's like an avocado toast that you would get in a freaking high-end breakfast spot. Focaccia bread, a vegan pesto aioli, avocado, and arugula. Throw some salt and pepper on top, and you have, well, one of the best avocado toasts I've ever had in my life. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first order, plus get a free item in every box for life. Click the link below or go to hungryroot.com and use code Savannah Marie. That's 40% off your first box, plus a free item of your choice in every box for life at hungryroot.com using the code Savannah Marie. Thank you so much, Hungry Root, for sponsoring today's video. Please check them out. You'll love them. I love them. They're the best. Now let's dive into the fish tank. Think of Fishtank as Big Brother, except there's no real oversight, no standards set in place that keeps contestants safe from each other or themselves, no sense of responsible casting decisions, and is run by a group of some of the worst people on the planet. Yeah, that's Fishtank in my opinion. First of all, I do have to say this. Fishtank's fan base is toxic as hell. I mean, this is the same group of people who have swatted their house multiple times. I know this video is gonna reach them. Those people are going to try to attack this video. They're gonna try to attack me personally. I don't care. Been there, done that. So you may be asking yourself, hey, girl on the internet, how do you know what kind of response this video is going to get already? Well, it's because of who created this show and who these people are and what kind of basement dwelling loser someone has to be in order to unironically enjoy the content that these people put out. Fishtank was created in 2023 by Sam Hyde and Neptune. Let's start with Sam Hyde, a highly controversial figure who has a reputation of being an alt-right neo-Nazi, to the point where the ridiculous statements and actions made by this man have caused people to dispute whether or not Sam is trolling or if he genuinely holds beliefs that result in such degeneracy. I could do an entire documentary-style video about Sam Hyde and his many controversies, but I'm not trying to make this video 17 hours long, and also it probably wouldn't be a good idea to do that anyway, so this is just a very brief explanation of who this dude is. Sam Hyde is part of a sketch comedy group, if you can even call it that, called $1 Million Extreme. They even had a short-lived feature on Adult Swim, but was swiftly canceled because Sam Hyde, well, does stuff like this.
I'm getting blacked up pretty good. Well, they blacked me up real nice.
I'm finna start my own Talk to a podcast. Come talk to a
Hey, fat, ugly people. If you lose a bunch of weight, I bet if you did that, you'd mysteriously become more likable with no possible explanation why.
I don't think you really need to see much else to understand who Sam Hyde is and what he's about, but I'm sure you can see how the absolute absurdity of this guy causes people to question whether or not he's actually this insufferable in real life. The other co-creator of Fishtank is Neptune, who was also a member of $1 Million Extreme. I had never heard of him, but one look at his Instagram and I think it's safe to say he's just as big of an insufferable shit stain as Sam is. These are two people who regularly rely on shock value, offensive stereotypes, and intentionally inflammatory material to create their so-called comedy. These traits bleed heavily into the production of Fishtank. Anyway, let's get to the premise of the show. I personally am a huge fan of Big Brother. Like, I watch the live feeds all day, every day when it's on. So when I first heard about this show, I immediately was like, oh, so it's like a low budget Big Brother, except on Big Brother, you can only really watch 2 separate feeds at a time, and you often miss out on a lot of drama happening in different rooms. The Fishtank live feeds are all on 24/7, and you can watch whatever one you want, whenever you want. This is definitely something that the Big Brother fandom wishes their live feed experience was like. If you're also a Big Brother fan like me, you most likely remember this guy, Luke. He was on season 25 and he got kicked off the show before the first elimination for saying the N-word. Will it surprise you that after he was kicked off Big Brother, he was a contestant on Fishtank that now works on the Fishtank production side with Sam Hyde? No? Yeah, me either. But anyway, after pressing play on a recap video from season 4 day 1, I instantly realized that Fishtank is much more than a low-budget Big Brother ripoff. And if you're wondering why I decided to start randomly watching season 4, it's because one of the contestants, Rachel, personally reached out to me asking me to cover the show because, in her own words, it ruined her life. So I've actually had plans to make this video for a few months now, and I've just been slowly making my way through season 4, even watching a few episodes with my Discord members. With the Wired article just coming out, I figured I should really get a move on here, but before anyone says anything, from what I've seen of Rachel's season, she is not a perfect victim by any means, and some of the behavior she displayed on the show is, quite honestly, deplorable to me. That being said, she did not deserve the things that happened to her inside that house. Although I do find the criticism of Sam Hyde created this show, so she should have known what she was signing up for, to apply well to this situation. But anyway, because season 4 is where I'm most well versed in the Fishtank universe, I'll be using season 4 as a reference a lot in this video. So anyway, Fishtank is currently on its 5th season, where a handful of strangers that the show fittingly calls fish live in a house together for up to 6 weeks. The last fish standing wins $50,000. The house is loaded up with a ton of cameras and microphones, and a live feed of every one of those cameras is live streamed to the internet for anyone to watch for free. There are elimination challenges, and the fish will also basically just bully each other to try to force each other to quit. Well, actually, it's not just the fish who bully each other. The live stream watchers are perhaps the biggest bullies involved in the show, because also in the house there's this stock ticker that is manipulated by viewers who feed money into the project. So this is one of the biggest differences between Fishtank and Big Brother. In Big Brother, the house guests have zero access to the outside world. There have been controversies surrounding the show of people hiring an airplane with a banner to fly over the backyard so the house guests will see their message, or people shouting with with megaphones over the studio wall so the house guests will hear them. Big Brother production has taken steps to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen because they don't want any outside influences to alter the direction of the storyline that production is actively trying to create and maintain. And one of the most interesting parts about Big Brother is actually after the show ends, because once the show ends, they are finally able to, after months, leave the house, they get their phones back, and then they're hit like a Mack truck with the opinions of the audience. They get to finally find out if people love them or hate them, and it is beyond entertaining. On Fishtank, however, the viewers' opinions of the fish are on constant display all the time because they have the stock ticker, of course, but also audience members are able to pay money to have text-to-speech comments read over the loudspeaker in the house. And many of these messages, and when I say many, I mean like a vast majority of them, are sent in order to provoke an emotional response from the people that the comments are directed to, and they are absolutely cruel. And this is happening constantly. Messages will taunt and bully the fish at all hours of the day, even while they're trying to fall asleep.
Give us an hour, y'all, please. Come on, man. I had an early flight. Come on, y'all. Please let us rest. I'm begging y'all. Just let us rest. Please. Please. Please.
Charleston, I can comfort you. Be still.
Take me. I can't go like that.
They're often full of slurs, and they're intentionally made to be as cruel as possible.
This show is making my life so much better. I get to watch this fat lard-ass whine. Ha ha ha. Come to my house, fat.
No,
your dying mother hates you, fat motherfucker.
Sometimes the commenters will be digging into the pasts or the personal lives of the people in the fish tank, and they'll blast any dirt they find over the loudspeakers with the text-to-speech comments, with the intent to embarrass or humiliate or even emotionally harm the contestants. For example, Rachel would often find herself being forced to listen to mean comments about her weight on the text-to-speech system.
Hang in there and keep your chins up. You're the best fish in the tank. You got this.
It's day 2 of Fishtank, and you are still fat.
Rachel, can you please retract your head into your fat and crawl around like a turtle?
Sure.
Armchair doctor here. Diagnosis? Fat and retarded.
Oink. 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 Oink.
At one point, she talked about a friend of hers who died, to which the viewers responded with terrible messages about that incident, which brought Rachel to tears quite often.
What is that spiral tattoo on your arm?
It's for my dead best friend.
1 minute it's manic depression, next it's PTSD, next it's her best friend killing herself. So many lies.
Herself, she was shot in the back of the head, you asshole!
Or you can stay right there.
Rachel is the one that shot her friend in the back of the head.
The two were walking along a narrow strip of beach near the public boat launch off Seaview Avenue.
Are you?
You've got to be just as strong as the bullet that went through your friend's head. Fat hog. If your friend had a head like yours, I don't think the bullet would have made it through.
Stop!
Keep your chins up, Biggie.
Stop!
What do you think the last thing that went through your friend's mind was, Rachel?
Of course not.
Besides the bullet, of course. Fat.
Another contestant on season 4 who is openly autistic, which this seems to be a theme with casting in this show, by the way, since season 4 has 3 openly autistic fish. But this guy was being harassed by TTS, trying to convince him that he was being canceled on Reddit, which would lead him to have meltdowns.
It starts with, sorry. That's your foot in the door. One simple sorry. Spoken straight from your core. The path to forgive.
Look at the top of his head. Look at the top of his head.
I'm asking to redirect. I just need to be alone so I don't hurt myself.
Specifically, the SpongeBob subreddit. I guess he's really into SpongeBob, so this news was particularly upsetting to him. Any normal, decent person would take steps to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen, that these kind of messages don't get through. But in the world of Fishtank, this is actually encouraged because this is a major form of monetization for the show. The money Fishtank brings in, estimated to be in the multi-millions by the way, enables the production team to encourage this behavior to keep it going at the expense of the contestants' emotional well-being. The production team finds it entertaining, the audience finds it entertaining. Myself, I find it exploitative. Another way Fishtank is monetized is by the audience paying to send gifts or disadvantages to the contestants. For example, someone can spend $100 to send a fish a letter, or someone could pay $800 to force a fish to sleep on the floor for a night. This payment is optional, of course, but in order to have access to rewatch their library of episodes and clips on the show's website and access other features, you have to pay $10 a month for the season pass, or $35 per month for the ultimate package. After each season, producers will sell mystery boxes for $200 each that just contain trash from the house after the season has wrapped. And apparently, people are actually paying for this, which I find bizarre. According to the Wired article, it says Fishtank gets over 500,000 regular viewers in its newest seasons. Producers claim that the show is worth $30 million, while their budget is only $1 million. The show has corporate sponsorships with multiple companies like Sticker Mule and Backyard Butchers.
BackyardButchers.com. BackyardButchers.com.
Bam Margera appears on multiple seasons. Joe Rogan has talked about it on his show.
It's real world.
You're saying Fishtank?
Yeah, it's real world. You get the craziest people
Isn't it
put
funny,
together.
like, real world's okay because they're only mildly mentally ill.
Why are so many well-known people and companies associating themselves with a project like this, though? Cruelty is the point, in my opinion. The way I see it, it's 100% psychological torture. You may already be thinking that this is the worst reality show you've ever seen. But hold on tight, because it gets worse. The further we dive into this, the more you'll come to realize that the goal of Fishtank isn't simply entertainment. It's seeing how much chaos an ill-equipped person can withstand before they break. Now, like I said, I'm really only familiar with Season 4, so I'm not sure exactly where all of these events happened, but according to the Wired article, contestants have been known to strip naked, pour cups of piss on one another, scream slurs, fist fight. They have smoked crack or meth, viewers couldn't quite tell which, touched themselves, attempted to smear feces on each other, worn blackface, and run directly into plate glass doors. When the Wired journalist actually stepped into the house himself, he writes, "It's dim, the floor is sticky, and the air smells like piss." The article doesn't mention that the fish seemingly have endless access to hard liquor, which regularly results in property damage and physical altercations. But the wild part is that production actually takes part in this physical and verbal abuse as well. That is a major distinction from any traditional reality TV show, because producers are usually kept behind the scenes and you rarely ever see or even hear them on camera. Sam Hyde is regularly seen in the house with the contestants, but he's always playing a character that he calls Gold Striker. Every season is a different Gold Striker character, though. Season 1, he was Jason Gold Striker. Season 2, he was Jedediah Gold Striker and spoke in a black accent.
Are you doing a toast without Judge Jedediah Gold Striker?
Season 3, he was Jeremy Gold, later turned back into Jason Gold Striker. Then Season 4, he was just Gold Striker again. And I guess for Season 5, Sam isn't as involved inside the house as he has been in previous seasons. But anyway, when Sam is in the house, he's almost always there to cause chaos. He'll annoyingly bully the contestants.
Got the grooves. Look at that, that's groove. They're grooving right now. If y'all got the groove with it. Y'all got to groove with it. Y'all got to groove with it like that. Y'all got to groove with it. Y'all got to be grooving, y'all. If you I'ma tell y'all right now, y'all got to be grooving. Okay, I'm out of here. I'ma get in the groove, y'all. I got to get in the groove, y'all.
Break their stuff, tell them to behave in certain ways, or just show up to lie and gaslight the contestants to send them into some mental tailspins. He doesn't treat every fish the same way. He often picks favorites or contributes to the bullying of contestants that he doesn't like as much. For all my fellow Big Brother fans, this would be like Julie Chen Moonves regularly hanging out inside of the house and mingling with the contestants and single-handedly controlling the narrative herself. Let's be honest though, we know that wouldn't be a fun show to watch because Julie Chen would probably just lead all the Big Brother house guests into some giant Bible study or something.
But first, God.
It would be very boring, but my point still stands. It's not just Sam though. Jet and the rest of the production crew is regularly in the house contributing to the chaos as well. The production team is also just a bunch of little babies. Like in this moment on season 4, after a night of heavy drinking by one of the fish, a producer pulls him into the confessional to whine about having a beer bottle thrown at him and being called a bitch.
Do you remember throwing the beer bottle at me?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
It's Fishtank, people are throwing stuff all the time.
Right.
It's just like, right after it hit me, you like also called me a bitch. Basically, it's like my second day and like, there was like tens of thousands of people watching and just like, everyone was like, for like the whole night afterwards, like, Mince is Freddy's bitch, Mince is Freddy's bitch, Mince is Freddy's bitch.
They can literally dish it out, but they can't take it. The fish treat each other so much worse, but God forbid someone calls a production member a bitch. Anyway, you heard me mention poop and pee earlier, and no, this isn't just some silly poo-poo pee-pee joke. The fish are disgusting people, dude. In this current season, season 5, one of the female contestants pooped in her hand and smeared it on another fish's face.
Stop right now, have actual shit on my hand right now.
But instead you...
On season 4, they did a challenge called the Cell Challenge. Basically, they were all locked in a room in the house and the last person to leave the room wins. Of course, being in a room for that long will result in people needing to use the restroom. So there was a communal potty bucket in the closet. At one point, one fish decided to dump the communal piss all over the floor. In the first season, one of the most well-known contestants, Letty, poured pee on another person's bed. The Wired article also claims that they do a shit your pants challenge, which that's self-explanatory.
This is the piss your pants challenge. The first to piss your pants gets a point.
I shouldn't need to say this, but for whoever needs to hear it, so many diseases can be spread by fecal matter. Probably pee too, but definitely poop. Are the fish screened for STIs and STDs before they enter the house? I find that doubtful, and I even asked Rachel about it, and she said she wasn't screened. On one season, they actually made all the fish take AIDS tests as a joke, and one of them came back with a false positive, and it was like this huge thing. It's just so stupid, but also that tells me that they didn't give them STD tests before they came into the house. Regardless, at best, this is disgusting. But then again, people who like Fishtank are kind of notorious for liking to spread poop on walls. And at worst, this is a biohazard that can seriously harm people for the rest of their lives by spreading harmful diseases. Not to mention the fish and production are regularly getting physical with each other, along with forcing the fish to take on physical challenges that will inevitably cause someone to get hurt. Rachel even claims that she ended up with a concussion during her time on the show from slipping, falling, and hitting her head so much. In a particularly unsettling moment from season 2, a contestant named Jimmy was forcefully removed from the house after aggressively throwing a croquet mallet at a female contestant.
Don't you ever fucking swing that hammer at me again, you stupid
Jimmy, stop!
He told Wired that he regretted that behavior, but I personally have no sympathy for a man who treats women the way that he did on the show. Wired claims each season about half of the cast taps out on their own before they're formally eliminated. Basically, all aspects of the show are meant to break the fish down mentally. This is monetized humiliation and monetized exploitation of human suffering. And apparently the neighbors don't like having the show filmed in their neighborhood either. It's a mystery why a quiet residential neighborhood would find issue with being kept up all night by screaming and slamming doors and all the other disruptive things that go on there. Season 4 of Fishtank ended abruptly and was never picked back up for completion because they were told that they were violating zoning laws by running the show from this location. They also found out that the police were receiving multiple fake 911 calls, which was obviously draining the resources of emergency response teams and law enforcement. The crew then went into a different home where they staged it as like, hey, the USA has been nuked and now all the fish are in a fallout shelter. And this only lasted for a day or two because they were once again told that they could not use a residential neighborhood to film the show. They decided to end the season there by splitting the $50,000 prize money between the remaining fish, which equaled around $8,000 for each of them. When you're watching traditional high-budget network television reality shows, there's a kind of a casting formula that they follow. There's a lot of typecasting involved. Many of them have fulfilling careers. Most of the time, contestants are screened for mental health or physical health concerns, and a lot of care goes into protecting the contestants' well-being, most likely to avoid liability. But whatever the case is, those things exist in reality TV for the well-being of everyone involved, contestants, producers, and networks alike. Fishtank does not operate this way. In fact, as far as I can tell, people who are cast on this show are a bunch of chronically online edgelords who live in their mom's basement with no regular contact with other people, and they socially isolate themselves. Many are unemployed and kind of doing nothing with their lives. Rachel actually sent me a secret recording that she made of herself being interviewed by a production member of Fishtank. On the surface, it's kind of boring and borderline annoying. It feels like you're watching someone put on a very pick-me performance and not actually being genuinely themselves, but there are a few moments here that make me raise an eyebrow. Keep in mind that most of what she says here is sarcastic, so take everything with a grain of salt, but at the same time, it almost makes it more problematic to me because it seems like, in my opinion, production really only cares about how someone is outwardly presenting themselves and not who they actually are. A responsible production crew would take measures to make sure that the people they're casting are equipped to handle the physical and mental anguish that they 100% are guaranteed to experience during their time in the house. Based on this interview snippet alone, I am not convinced that the Fishtank crew actually cares about doing what's best for their contestants. Anyway, at one point, Rachel is proudly showing off her shelf of knickknacks behind her, complete with what appears to be a green MAGA hat. She starts going off and then apologizes to the interviewer. She asks if she should take a Xanax, and the interviewer says absolutely not.
Okay, sorry. Should I take a Xanax? I take it up here in case I got a little, yeah. Oh, okay.
What this says to me is that the production team knows that she has access to anxiety medication, which that alone would basically disqualify her from being cast on just about any other reality show out there. The responsible answer that this casting producer should have given her was, if you feel like you need to take your medication, then go for it. Yeah, take it. Do what's best for you. Instead, the interviewer tells her that she shouldn't. Again, it's hard to know how serious this interaction is. Like, maybe both of them are joking, or maybe production just doesn't care about screening out people who have anxiety problems. Later, the interviewer asks what assumptions Rachel has about the people who apply for Fishtank, and her answer is basically that there's something wrong with them, and then she lists off some trauma or disabilities that a person might have.
What assumptions could you make about the other people that applied, or the other people we're talking to? If you can imagine some other person that we're talking to right after you or right before you, like, what is that person?
Nice. Probably has a messy room. Probably has some kind of like disability or some kind of disadvantage in their life, whether that be their father leaving them or, ADD or alcoholism or, like there's something wrong with them. Definitely.
How would you assume you are different than that person you just described?
I'm not different. I'm equally or more fucked up.
The interviewer doesn't deny any of that, and the fact that Rachel said it herself seems like an admission from both parties that the Fishtank casting crew is looking to cast people who are social outcasts, have mental health issues, or have no control of themselves in difficult situations. This is pretty much the opposite of what a network television reality show is looking for, because normally they're trying to escape liability for causing someone physical and emotional harm. From what we know about her time on the show, though, she ended up quitting because of the constant harassment from the text-to-speech messages being sent in by the audience that referenced her friend who died. For someone who seemingly knows a lot about Fishtank, it seems like she heavily underestimated how horrible its fan base can be. It's true that the comments about her weight didn't seem to faze her, and I think she went into it expecting that to happen. What she didn't expect, however, is that sharing one traumatic event in her life would create an intense bullying campaign against her that she ultimately couldn't handle. I don't think most people can handle the kind of psychological torture that goes on in there, honestly. The fact that Rachel herself couldn't handle it, at the very least, tells me that she still has some humanity under all of this outward pick-me energy. The interviewer also specifically asks if her family will worry about her, and then goes on to ask if she would be okay if production ignored a friend or family member reaching out to them with a desperate plea to get into contact with Rachel, or have her removed from the show.
Will your family worry about you while you're gone?
No.
Let's say it's not your emergency contact, it's someone else that sees you in a weak position, your head is against the wall, you're crying, you went through something stressful, and they reach out to us, and would you be willing to ignore some desperate plea to get in contact with you?
Yeah.
Just stay on the show.
Yeah. Why not?
This is such a major red flag, because if it were me, if I hadn't already been turned off by the questions that they're asking, this question in and of itself would make me hang up. It's confirmation to me that, yet again, production doesn't care about doing the right thing for their contestants. They care about making things entertaining, and they care about making money. In my opinion, that is the extent of their level of care for their contestants. There are other parts to this interview where Rachel shares a lot of very personal things with the interviewer. I'm not going to share that here. That's Rachel's story to share on her own. But let's just put it this way. Production chose to add her to the cast knowing that she's been through some serious trauma. To me, it's irresponsible to cast someone like Rachel. She says she's been trying to get on reality TV for years, but never got anywhere with it. It seems like she finally got onto Fishtank because they're the only production team reckless enough to cast her and others like her. And for whatever reason, the casting department at Fishtank casts a lot of autistic people. I mean, in season 4 alone, like I said earlier, there were 3 people who claimed to be autistic. Season 3 featured a contestant named Bert, who's supposedly autistic and schizophrenic, and would regularly make jokes about harming the other contestants. I mean, he was also a serial self-toucher, and he would do it multiple times a day, regardless of who was in the room with him. The women in the house raised concerns about being near him and sharing a bedroom with him. Watching literally any clip of him feels like I'm watching someone straight up go through a psychotic episode. He's clearly unwell. And he even returns in future seasons to make little cameos, and then they play a game called Hurt Bert, where the contestants take turns trying to beat him up. I'm not saying that autistic people shouldn't be allowed on reality TV, but what I am saying is that it is widely known that depending on where you are on the spectrum, autistic people often have a hard time reading social cues, or they might react to things in ways that the rest of the population thinks is unusual. And in an environment like Fishtank, this leads to severe bullying, not only by the fish, but by production, by the text-to-speech commenters, and I find this to be incredibly reckless, irresponsible, and unethical. So this begs the question, why would anyone volunteer for this? At least on Big Brother or like The Real World or something, the exposure is massive, the potential for a successful life as an influencer is on the table. They regularly will receive brand deals that fund their new reality star identity, and on Big Brother specifically, the prize money is $750,000 these days. With Fishtank though, the prize is only $50,000. And let's be honest, when the fish are done being on the show, what level of success are they expecting to have? Because maybe I'm just living under a rock, but I had not heard of any of these people outside of the Fishtank fandom. When I look at the cast on any of these seasons, I don't see a single mentally well individual. Not a single goddamn person. They have people like Rachel who clearly have a lot of trauma in their life that they haven't properly coped with. Another contestant on season 4 is openly an ex-crack user. But also, most of these people are actual degenerates, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Season 4 also had Ellie, who is an open racist, using white supremacist dog whistles on her own personal live streams.
What race do you feel like is holding, you back the most or us back the most?
The 13%.
And then there's Jin, an openly disgusting pervert who also holds some viewpoints that point to his attraction to literal children.
Yeah, the people love her because she's, barely legal, petite little Asian girl.
But in most states, it's actually 16.
Yeah, which is technically illegal. Like, I won't get arrested as a 16-year-old.
Best girl age?
Best girl age,
higher.
12 to 16.
Jin, would you Rachel? Be honest.
If I was like really drunk, I might, because she does have the biggest in here, but her ass is like, she's actually like egg shaped. They're jiggling around everywhere. She wasn't wearing a bra on the treadmill. Bad idea if you have boobs. Unless you want me staring at you. Women shouldn't be on my personal male spaces. The only reason she hasn't gotten slapped yet is because she's so cute.
You smell.
Yeah, it smells like beans in there.
You need deodorant really bad.
I'm sorry, Rachel, but you're just not in the looks department.
I hurt my knee.
Because you're fat.
Also, one day he was caught looking up another contestant's skirt. Freddie, another season 4 fish, has a very clear issue with alcohol abuse and regularly would get blackout drunk. Maybe having a guy like this trapped in a house with unlimited supplies of alcohol isn't a smart or ethical thing to do, but what do I know? In the realm of the mentally unwell contestants, on season 2, you had Summer, who was forced to leave on day 5 because production thought she needed to receive mental health care after having a panic attack and throwing up on day 2, and then that panic attack didn't seem to have an end. At one point, she tries to tell Sam about her mental illness, but Sam doesn't seem to care. He just continues breaking the contestants' beds while she sobs. It's bizarre. At one point, the poor girl writes a letter to Sam, which he then makes her read out loud to the cameras so everyone online can hear it, and honestly, if this girl isn't an actress, she should not have been cast on this show. She is beyond unwell and not suitable to thrive in an environment like this. And apparently after the show, she claimed that after she was forcefully removed, they sent her down to the basement until the next day, and while she was there, she said she was drugged and then an unknown production member SA'd her. She later retracted this statement and said that she regretted making it, and I'm not going to say whether or not I believe the accusations, but with all the information we have, this was likely made up. I'm sure that with most people who are cast on this show, a case can be made from an ethical standpoint that they should not have been cast for Fishtank. Maybe you can say, then they shouldn't have signed up in the first place, but I personally think that many of these people are not in a place to make that decision absent of someone who's willing to advocate for them. I think this is more than just some crazy reality show. It says a lot about modern internet culture. People are willing to endure public humiliation 24 hours a day for what? A chance at recognition by the worst subset of people on Earth? A small payday? It doesn't seem worth it. But it also makes me wonder if the reason that they cast these people is because people who are, for lack of a better term, societally normal, have no desire to sign up for the show for obvious reasons, so their casting options are slim pickings. Knowing who their audience is, I find it likely that even if they were exclusively looking to cast people with no mental or emotional issues, they would have a hard time finding that in their fan base. So we've talked a lot about the controversies surrounding Fishtank. Despite all the controversies, Fishtank has a dedicated fan base made up of hundreds of thousands of viewers. Sam Hyde and his crew are raking in millions of dollars. It has multiple sponsors, and well-known internet personalities have given it attention. How can this possibly be so if the show is this awful? Going back to my love of Big Brother, I think the reason people like it so much is similar to why people like Fishtank. Big Brother is the only network reality show to happen in real time, with live feeds going on almost all the time. Of course, with the recent new ownership of CBS, I'm personally worried about what the show will become this year and in the years that follow. I get frustrated with it when production decides to step in and cut the live feeds because they want to hide something that they feel they can't work into the story that they're trying to produce. But aside from all that, I do appreciate the authenticity that we get from a show like Big Brother. Even though the aired show is spliced to shit by CBS, the live feeds actually feel like you're watching an entirely different show because you're actually watching people genuinely interact with each other. Most of the time anyway. Like, there's always going to be people on Big Brother who kind of put on an act while they're out interacting with their fellow house guests, and then they get into the diary rooms and they're like, ha ha ha, I'm an evil genius. But for the most part, Big Brother feels real, authentic, and genuine to me. So I do understand the appeal of Fishtank on that level. But even Big Brother itself is becoming predictable, despite their motto being expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected.
We already know that production has a heavy hand in encouraging behavior of the house guests to get the results they want. But ultimately, it's not scripted outside of the challenges and diary rooms. Fishtank obviously isn't scripted either, but it does make me wonder how genuine the people inside the house really are. These people do not behave like normal ass people, period. But audiences love that. They love unpredictability and drama. Fishtank is definitely full of that. Is this all just an act, or are these people genuinely this unhinged? I personally think it's the latter, because we know that the casting team isn't looking for normal, unproblematic people. In that case, it makes me scared for humanity, that there are people out there who are just this way. Plus, the internet rewards extremes. You want views on the internet? Do something wild and you'll definitely get people talking. Every time someone goes viral for being racist to a black child, the most problematic people of all time will reward that person with $1 million crowd-funded payday. You're lying to yourself if you think that things are getting more affordable, okay? Most people in the United States can't afford to live anymore. We can't afford to spend money the way we used to. People are needing to get second and third jobs to afford basic living essentials. The worse it gets, the more desperate people get. And I think this kind of hustle grind set that the internet creates results in people pushing the limits farther and farther. Again, this makes me scared for humanity. It makes me scared for future generations. And least importantly, it makes me scared for the future of reality TV. Will Fishtank influence other reality shows to stick to this theme of desperation? Because, like, people can't really pay their bills right now? Will that push reality show contestants to agree to trade in their privacy, personal reputation, and dignity for a relatively small paycheck and some clout? In a world where no one can afford a goddamn thing, I fear that human desperation will lead to more and more people deciding that money is worth more than their own well-being. The scariest part about Fishtank isn't the fights. It isn't the humiliation. It isn't even the constant surveillance. It's the possibility that Fishtank is becoming a microcosm of humanity and what people are willing to do to survive in a world that's becoming increasingly more cruel. And is this where reality TV is heading? Because for decades, reality TV asked us to watch people embarrass themselves. Fishtank asks its audience to closely participate. And judging by its popularity, a lot of people are more than willing to do exactly that. I'm not sure if this will help anyone feel any better about the existence of this show, but the Wired article interviewed Jet Neptune, who's currently the main one running things after Sam Hyde decided to take a step back. I would like to read this snippet from the article. The audience isn't purely out for blood. As the weeks wear on, they start to care about the contestants. They want to see them improve and grow, Neptune says. That might mean standing up to another cast member or winning a particularly grueling challenge. He admits that, to the untrained eye, Fishtank can seem evil, but he believes that self-actualization is at its core. Negativity is the most powerful force, he tells me. People's attention won't be grasped until there's something dramatic, controversial, up happening. But once they're hooked, then they naturally want a happy ending. If you want to send a message you believe in, he says, you have to hide it in a cake of horror. And that is all I have for you guys today. I just want to thank some people. First of all, thank you so much Hungry Root for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget, go to hungryroot.com, use my code Savannah Marie, get yourself 40% off plus a free gift for life. I love Hungry Root. You're gonna love Hungry Root too, so check them out. Also, I want to take a moment to thank my patrons and my members, guys. The list of names I'm about to read off are my financial supporters. They get access to things like our private Discord server, we have a postcard club, early access to new videos, sometimes even more than that. So if any of that sounds good to you, you can go to patreon.com/Savannah Marie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to join my YouTube memberships. Just whatever platform you want to join on works for me if it works for you. So with that, the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Hula Chowdown, Katrina Rosemarick, Jacqueline Nutton, Kessie Drew, Marie Silver, Maddie Darley, Ray, Caroline Reed, Sinead Maria Venus, Wander Dice, Love to Be Evil, Nicole Hensley, Wendy Irons, Luciana Valiente, Emily from Kansas, Hannah Moe, Alex Offbeat, Cats Rule Here, 1972, Aaron Adler, LaSalle Story, Fluffy Duck Butt 24, Ferd Turgeson Esquire, Just Mark, Alice Wagner, Fallon Harris, and Zoe Slater. And to the rest of my financial supporters, thank you so much for being here and being you. And even if you're not a financial supporter, just thanks for making it to the end of this video. It was a heavy topic of conversation. YouTube loves watch time, so the fact that you're here helps my channel grow, so thank you so much. With that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.